Are you digging that little groove there,
I
Joe?
love the music.
Welcome to Self-Publishing Insiders, everybody. We've got a very special guest with us today. We have Joe Solari. Joe Solari is the managing director of Author Nation, the world's largest author conference and multi-genre reading event. Joe, welcome back to the show.
Jim, it's great to be here again. I know I'm probably not the guest you've had on the most, but I know I've been on here a few times and I love it every time.
Well, deservedly so. I mean, you're doing a lot out there. I mean, the world's largest author conference. Notice how we didn't say the world's largest indie author conference. This is the world's largest conference. You've taken on quite a bit, and it's only been a couple of years since you've been running the whole gig here. So I want to just hop into it because I know this conversation is going to go by in a flash. So, Joe, can you, for people who may not be familiar with Author Nation, can you just give us an idea of what Author Nation is and maybe
Sure.
what makes it unique among author conferences?
Sure. So it's a 5-day event. It's in Las Vegas, November 3rd through the 7th this year at the Horseshoe Casino for most of the event because the last day we actually scoot across the hall to the Paris to have our reader event. It's the first day is focused on getting authors exposed to all the services and support companies that are in the ecosphere, whether that's editing or companies like Drafted Digital or companies like Kickstarter. We have the largest group of author services there for you to kind of check out and talk to and figure out if you need them in your life. Then Tuesday through Thursday, it's the fire hose of author education. We have 90 different sessions across marketing, productivity, advertising, mindset, craft, everything. And then kind of compartmentalized across, are you haven't even published yet? Have
Okay.
you published and not been profitable? Are you building an empire? We kind of break things in for your experience level. And then the last day is a reader event where we turn the tables and now the authors become the ones that are sitting in a room and signing books. And we have this year, we're looking at right now about 3,000 registrants for our reader event to come
Is
in
that
and
all? Wow.
yeah, see all these cool authors because we forget that as readers, where all the money comes from, they have a real big problem discovering new authors. So it's part of what we're trying to do is kind of hit all things. So to the core of your question, I think what's different about us isn't the size or all the different things we have. I mean, you can get tastes of that at a lot of different conferences, regionally and internationally. It's kind of our philosophy behind the scenes and about how we're trying to really craft an experience that invites readers and authors to come into this world together and just dive deep into this love of books and reading and listening.
Yeah, that's perfect. I love how you have it organized because I've heard so many times from authors, and I'm sure you have too, especially ones who might be a little bit newer to the industry, that the idea of going to their first conference is it's kind of a scary endeavor the first time because you're walking
Yeah.
in and it seems like everybody knows each other, but you're new to it. But since you have it compartmentalized into, hey, if you're newer, you might want to start over here on this path. And if you've already been exposed to all that stuff and maybe you're earning a living or you've already quit your 9 to 5, you want to go over here to these sessions. So,
Yeah. And I think, and this gets to kind of my background in the industry and really being business focused is,
yeah.
wrapped around this event. And for us, the big thing is that week-long event is this idea of this community. And maybe the best thing for you if you're just getting started is come into our community and let's do some things online
Mm-hmm.
that get you the best bang for your buck. Because going to a conference, when you look at the numbers, it can be expensive. And you're like, well, listen, it's just not my budget.
Yeah.
I need that money to get my first book out. And we're the first ones to say, God bless, go do that.
Yeah.
You are ready and you come to a show like ours, it's only after you've experienced it you've realized how important that investment was because of how fast it changes your paradigm about the industry. Like this is a super difficult thing to do, to publish a book and to find your audience. And when you can come into a place where there's 1,200 people that are either
Hmm.
trying to achieve that or have done it multiple times, you're going to learn so much from their scar tissue that you
Yeah,
just
that's
ramp
a good way of
up,
putting it.
right? You know, there's so many people that they just want to tell a new author this stuff because it somehow redeems all the time and money they've lost figuring it
Yeah.
out.
That's so true. I'm so glad that you mentioned that. And I think I probably mentioned this the last time we spoke, Joe, on this show. And that is, you can be walking down the hallway and you'll see a New York Times bestselling author sitting on the floor with a bunch of never before published authors, just devoting their time and energy just to helping. Um, and that culture that you've helped to create, it's kind of like, with as writers, we're just working in isolation. So what are some of the ways that Author Nation helps foster this real community for authors? Because there's the sense of belonging and community within the first day, so authors don't have to feel like they're just being like it's a shock to the system when they walk through
Yeah.
the doors.
So there's two things that come to mind. The first is it comes right off of what you said. You know, I was talking to an author today, 7-figure author, and he's arranging for some of these higher end authors to have some space where they can talk, right? Because there's some stuff that they'll want to talk about. But
Hmm.
the reason, you know, he was sharing about like how he wants to be at this event to give back because he remembers coming to this event and getting information that took him to the next, like to a whole different place, right?
Perfect.
And he, you know, he's the kind of person that understands like, wow, if it wasn't for this other author giving me just 15-20 minutes,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have gotten to where I am today. And I want to make sure that that happens. Now there's, you know, there's a little bit of a scheme in that because that keeps you tapped into the new and upcoming people that may someday you want to get their help. So there's
Yeah.
that. The second thing is I think we're in a unique situation because of my background and Sue's, my wife's background, who's, you know, we came out of a, you know, entrepreneurial, but also corporate background. So thinking strategically around how we can partner up with companies like Drafted Digital and Kickstarter and some of the other folks and figure out how we can get the win-win for people. And I'll give
Hmm.
you an example using Kickstarter.
Okay.
This, you don't have to come to the show to do this. Like you can join our community and participate in this. Rather than us just having Kickstarter talk at the show, Oriana has been doing every other month coaching calls, and we're running a cohort where we're helping each other run Kickstarters, and we're working like a little mini mastermind. And that group, their goal of those 30 odd authors was to raise $44,000. We're about halfway through the people running their Kickstarters. There's a few, about 14 more to go. We're
Hmm.
already at $165,000.
What?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's almost 4 times. But what's so cool is when we dive in and we're looking at these numbers, we're recognizing that there's a group of debut authors
Hmm.
that are achieving something that's almost impossible. And that is they're launching their first book at a profit.
Yeah.
And if you think about that model, if you come in and you work with something like this and you use a platform like Kickstarter to get that first book launched and get the money so you can get the cover done and do all this stuff and come out of this thing with, you know, maybe you plan to spend $2,000 on your first book and you cover all of that or a good portion of that. And then
Hmm.
you go and you partner with somebody like you guys and go wide with that book. You've all of a sudden used all the parts of our community in a way that makes you have a higher probability of success and reduced your cash flow output, right? Because if they go through you for distribution, they don't pay anything until the book sells,
Right.
right? So like those are the kind of things we're trying to help people understand about us that's different. Is like we're trying to figure out how the puzzle pieces go together to make more profitable models for authors.
Perfect. Gosh, I feel like we can almost end the conversation right there. Seriously, because this is what
I,
this is all about. Because you're never working in isolation as an indie author. And I think when authors who are newer are just stepping into the self-publishing waters, they're like, oh my God, I have to do all this thing by myself. But there are no best-selling authors who do everything by themselves. And they have their ecosystem of help, whether it's professional editors, professional cover designers, people who are experts at marketing, people who are experts at Kickstarter, and so on.
yeah,
Hey,
I
Joe.
think there. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was just going to ask you, like, how have you seen the culture change over the last, I don't know, few years, even the last decade before you were running the event here? And I want to ask you, how is Author Nation reflecting those changes? Because we were talking backstage about not just indie authorship, we were talking about culture and how this whole movement has evolved from 2007 and 2008, where there was this, the self-publishing revolution, and then it just became this global movement, and now it's evolved into this culture of authors just helping one another rise up.
Yeah. So I'm going to start at this kind of at a high level and walk through a few things because I think that this is core to why I'm doing this. So years ago when I went to an author conference and observed what was going on, I was like, holy cow, we're at this moment in time where people are going to be able to take their intellectual property and monetize it and create generational wealth. I don't know who the person is going to be in this room, but there's going to be at least one or two of them, right? And I can tell you because that was say 2017. That's happened. Okay, I can point to specific people that I can remember them first launching their books, and now they're making a bunch of money. But what's changed within that whole thing is the ways that you can make money, the methodologies, and how you find an audience. And it's gotten more complex. There's more options. And so how do you figure out all of that stuff? And I think for us, we're really adapting to the times. So in the past, you would come to a show and it would be all about like, how are you doing on Amazon? Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's one way to measure things, but we've got people speaking at our show that aren't selling any books on Amazon. Mm-hmm. They may be telling their stories for free on some platform and getting paid on Patreon or Ream. Like that model didn't exist 10 years ago, right?
Right.
The idea of people making more money from new readers in print books wasn't something that was really a thing 5 years ago. Most indie authors were like, oh, I'm just going to, make ebooks and do well there. Then, our big focus, and I think this was the thing that was a little hard for people to get their head around, was this kind of trad versus indie model is why are we bringing in all these, kind of traditional authors like James Patterson this year? It's like, we're doing this because we're trying to create an environment where readers want to show up.
Right.
Because they're the
I
ones that pay
think
for
it's funny
everything.
how you just mentioned James Patterson, just like matter of factly. Oh, like this author James Patterson, the James
Yeah.
Patterson.
Yeah. And, this gets into some stuff behind the scenes. I can't get into all the details, but like through this, interaction with his publicist and others, and we've got people playing. Like we're going to make a major announcement for 26 who we're going to have speaking. Like we're having conversations with traditional publishing houses where it isn't just about like, hey, we want this, we want to ride on this guy's coattails. It's like, how are we collaborating to create opportunities for them?
Yes.
And them starting to see that, like, wow, there's some really interesting opportunities in what's what's considered the indie community, where, you know, probably in the last 18 months, we've seen it more than double the amount of people that are like, well, I'm holding on to these rights in my electronic side, and my print rights, I'm going with a big three publisher.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. And we've seen some of
And
the same things.
yeah, so I think that it, it's a two-edged sword, right? Like there's more options, there's more opportunities, there's more, and that can get overwhelming when you're new. But it's like, okay, well, where can we get together and help you think through these things? Because the worst thing you could do is try and do it all.
Yes. Yes. And I like the conversation about the us versus them, the indie versus trad models. And I think that conversation is almost dead and gone at this point, because indie has far years ago proven its validity out there as well as trad. And now authors are seeing success, going indie first, then being picked up by trad, or going trad first, getting their rights reverted back to them, and going back into the indie waters and finding new readership. That's all very exciting.
Yeah, I've just recently listened to Barry Diller's book and John Malone's book, and here's two guys that were the architects of big media since the '60s, and involved in cable and streaming and all these different things. And both of these guys are saying all bets are off, because the world we live in today, it's about the intellectual property and the audience. And you don't have to be able to get a movie deal or a big publishing deal. If you do certain things, the platforms exist today to build your own audience. And those two assets, your intellectual property and your audience, become so valuable, right? It was Mr. Beast going on YouTube and building his content and his audience that then Amazon wrote him a check for nearly $1 billion. Right?
Not too shabby, as my dad would say. Of
Right. Now, I'm using an extreme outlier
course.
because
But the
we
point
always
is there.
do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, because you get rid of all the middlemen, you put yourself in a position where you don't have to make $100 million. You can live in a place where, with these lower overheads and these pay-as-you-go models like you guys have, that it doesn't cost me a bunch of money to get this business up and running.
Right.
And I think that's the part that, this again rolls back into the business stuff, is getting people to be like wiser in those choices. Because what kills most businesses is they run out of money. So, like,
Yep.
if you're bootstrapping your author business, how can we make that work for you? Not just like your budget, but your expectations, because I think that's the part where we all get ourselves screwed up, is like, well, I've only got $1,000 to do this, but I expect to be a 7-figure author next year.
Yes. Yes. That's a perfect segue into this comment from Angela. And hi, Angela. And I really
Hi,
appreciate
Angela.
it. She asks, how do we figure it out? We find out because of amazing events like this. It's so true. And I think as artists, whether you're a musician or an author, you want to focus on the art because you're so passionate about it. But then at Author Nation, there are sessions like, here's how you create a spreadsheet to help you keep track of your business. And it doesn't have to be intimidating. As a matter of fact, I'm allergic to spreadsheets, but I've attended those sessions and it's like, oh my God, even I can do this. So simple, even you can do it.
Yeah, I think, there's two things to kind of think about with this. One is the collaboration. It's not so much what you hear in a session, it's that conversation that happens after the session that I've observed at NINC and 20 books and regional events and ours, people like they create a new genre, or they create a new series that makes these authors finally find the success they were looking for. So there's that part that is the alchemy of the event. But the other thing is, and something we're very focused on, is bringing in a variety of vendors, bringing in sources from outside of our community. Is like, how can we help you folks understand what's coming, what you need to be worried about, what kind of tools are there to talk about. And I know there's been an enormous amount of conversations at our show and at past shows online about what's going on with AI. And this year, we have very little focus on it inside the craft. It's all about like where it's going with how it can do all the stuff that you hate to do, right? Like, I think this is where one of these things where we got ourselves wrapped around the axle and like, oh, who cares about who's using it for their craft? The folks that want to be freed of all the other stuff, let us show you how automation might be readily usable for you today in getting rid of stuff that you're probably not even doing at all.
Right?
Like balancing your checkbook.
Right. Not necessarily using it to write the book for you, but using it to do this, not using it to do the stuff that you love, using it to do the stuff that you hate. That's just sapping your time.
And doing stuff better, like, we're building a lot of systems around the show. Like, how are we able to scale things up so big and so fast? Is because I've scaled up businesses before, so this isn't new to me. This is what's new to me is how I don't have to use people to do it. There's these tools that allow me to do things so much lower cost and better than I ever have before. Now, I'm kind of the guinea pig on some of this stuff where it's like, oh, probably shouldn't talk about this too much because it's a little too early, but knowing where this stuff is going, like for me, it's exciting to know that we're going to be talking about the show about technology in new ways that makes your business scale up. Like you've got 10 Harvard MBAs working for you at zero cost, right? Those are the things that authors don't even necessarily think that they need. But like, if you are really looking to build a business and serve customers, and not have that pull you away from what you love to do, which is right. Oh, and by the way, that's what your customers want you to do. They don't want you worrying about marketing. They want you writing the book. Like, can we figure those things out as a community so that we can use that, in a powerful way that is really on brand too.
Okay, that kind of leads me into the next section, into my next question, Joe. And that, how do you determine which companies to bring on, which keynote speakers to bring on, and which workshop topics that you want on the schedule? Because it's all very exciting to me.
Yeah. So this is something that, first off, we have a group of authors that are helping. So we have Shel Honecker as our programming committee. We've got Jonathan Brazy, who's kind of who's handling our professional conduct committee, and then they have team members, and they're kind of working together to make sure that we're tapped into the zeitgeist of what's going on, and knowing that, kind of selecting people to speak. We're also like, we go to conferences ourselves. We go to outside conferences and we're looking to poach speakers and ideas. We go to marketing conferences. And I think one of the things that, if you look at some of the people we've brought in, they don't even know our industry exists. But I hear them talk and I'm like, oh, if I can get them to understand these three things, they probably can give us a solution. We talk about those three things. They're like, oh yeah, this is how we do it in this industry. And it's like, okay, come to our show and talk to us about that. Right. So there's a lot of back and forth, and then we're always learning. So, I think we're maturing in the sense of like going from like, hey, what do you guys want to talk about? Give us your topics, to like, we see where the industry's going, and we see that we need to break things into like foundations, implementation, optimization, innovation, right? And like you're probably not going to hear that in other shows where
Mm-hmm.
they're thinking about like, oh, if you're an author that's making a lot of money, you may be really good at one facet of the industry, but now you want to go do Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you don't need to worry about innovating. You need to worry about implementing,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And then optimizing. And then you'll probably start becoming somebody that comes to our show and talks about innovating because you're that kind of person. But I think that that's something we're observing is like, oh, when we bring somebody in that's doing really well at a platform like Royal Road, how how do we get people to understand how to implement and innovate on that hopefully that answered the question.
Yeah, it did answer the question because I mean, any conference out there, they get inundated with speaker requests and abstracts and session descriptions and all that. But from what I'm taking away from what you just said, Joe, is that you guys months and months and months in advance, maybe even a year in advance of the next show, you're like, okay, what are our takeaways from not just our event, but from all these different events that we've attended ourselves? What are some of these key trends? And then how are we going to strategize to provide the best possible information that we could have for your attendees at our show? And then we're going to figure out who those people are that are the experts to deliver that information.
Yeah, and there's lots of layers in this too. So the other side of this thing, and this is something we've had conversations, because you're one of our sponsors, is like, what's your objectives, right? Like us understanding your business and the things that you guys are working on, technology you're rolling out, all those kind of things, and then figuring out like, how do we facilitate that? Not just have you go and show slides about, hey, we got this new great feature, you should use it. Is like, how do we help people see the value and have success with it?
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's, I used that example earlier of Kickstarter. That's kind of our preeminent example because we're the furthest along with it. But it's our philosophy on how we want to do everything. Is like, how any vendor bringing in, we want to hear like, what is it you're trying to do? It's great that you want to support, provide money, or
Right.
but is you talking about your product really the best thing? Not always, right? Like you guys.
Not usually, I would argue. It usually isn't. The way to connect with these authors is educating them.
Yeah, and the idea of how we're trying to figure out how the pieces go together, like we're in a horrible spot in the sense of like this year we had over 600 applications to speak for about 90 slots.
Yeah.
Some people take it really personal when they don't get picked to speak because they have something really powerful to offer. But like we are having to make those choices, and hopefully they don't hold it against us and they come back next year. But like we're trying to figure out how it fits for all those different people, right? Whether it's we're going to have people that come to the show. We know it's about 12% of the people that come that are just getting ready to publish. Mm-hmm. And we need to have content for them because if it's the right content, we are going to help them knock it out of the park.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
Even though we say, man, maybe the best thing to go to the show that soon. Right. Then we have this big group of people they're published, but they're not profitable.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is a small business problem. Right. This isn't just an author problem. It's a small. So how do we solve that? There's a lot of different ways. There's also a lot of mistakes you can make in the process. Like, well, I need to do one more thing and then I'll be profitable. It's like, no, maybe you need to do less. Right.
Yep.
So those are the things that we're always trying to think about. How can we communicate it better? How can we facilitate it? How can everything be part of the learning experience? Right. So like, the reader event,
Yep.
we want us to be a place where you learn how to sell direct, if that's a avenue you want to follow, and have success at it.
Perfect. Before I forget, I want to bring up this question from one of our viewers, Joe. We talked a little bit about this earlier, but from Nigel. And Nigel, thanks for posting this question. Nigel asks, how do people like Guillaume and myself get involved remotely? We're both in the UK, and we know that we have people watching, that are going to be watching later on from Australia and New Zealand and lots of other places.
Absolutely. So there's a couple ways.
Okay.
We have a free community at community.authournation.live. Okay. You can go in there. It's like an off Facebook platform. There's about 3,000 authors on there. A lot of the content that we have is there free for you to watch. Got the folks at Drafted Digital have been part of this summer writing series we've been doing, where we're doing live webinars to kind of get people thinking about things for the show. So those are all things that if you're not like ready to pay for, you can do for free and get a feeling for the community. Because like my secret evil plan is, if I get you successful with your book and profitable, then you can pay for a show ticket and come to my show.
Yeah.
Right.
Buy one for your friends.
Yeah. Buy one for everyone in the family. But then we also have a digital ticket. Now we don't live stream the event. What we do that's cool is you buy this digital ticket. After the show, all the recorded sessions will be up there and you can watch them. And then every single one of those sessions will have a live Q&A session with the speaker. Ooh, so the idea is, even if you come to our show, you can't see all the sessions. You're going to at some point be having to decide between two sessions. You pick one, you go to it.
Yeah.
The ones that you don't go to, you can go watch, and then you can have an opportunity to have a full live hour of asking questions and workshopping and applying that information, even to the sessions you went to, right? Like you can go there, go home, apply it, and be like asking Jim, like, hey, I tried to do this on Drafted Digital, it didn't work. And I did this with Smashwords and this happened, and like talk through those things. So for those folks that are remote, like that's how we're looking for you to participate now. And then when you are ready to come to the big show, you can.
For a second too. Are we back? I think we're back.
Oh, where'd you lose me?
We were talking about how people can, who attend the session, can go back later and review some of the live sessions.
Yeah. So just the idea that when you do go online, there's these live sessions where you can Q&A with the speaker. So, for example, Drew Davis, who was our keynote last year, he had this live session where he talked about the curiosity gap, and he workshopped it right there. And like I learned more on the online call than I did at the session, and that session was amazing, right? So like I think that the idea of how we can create this remote experience where it's more interactive and educational than you just sitting there watching videos or seeing live streaming, because we all do that. Like people right now are sort of watching us. They're checking their Facebook post.
What? No, they're not. They're into it, Joe. More of a practical question here. So if I'm a first-time author or maybe a first-time conference attendee and I'm going to go to Author Nation for my very first time, what can I expect my experience to be like from just kind of walking through the hallway the very first day? Like, can you kind of walk me through that?
Sure. So is this particular person first time in Las Vegas?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
yes.
So, Las Vegas can be pretty daunting. Big city, lots of lights, and, catching a cab or the Uber service from the airport is really good. You get to the horseshoe. The airport
for the first time, it's kind of like, wow.
Yeah, it's everything you might think it's going to be, right? Once you get to the horseshoe and you get checked in, I suggest that people come Sunday night so that they can register Monday morning, and at 10 a.m. we have that uh, industry expo start. And so we have a full day of, where you can walk around and talk to all the different vendors and go to their booths and tables. This year it extends into the evening. We have a cocktail party sponsored by Reedsy where folks can just kind of hang out in that same space until about 7 o'clock. So that we all get warmed up that night. And, you have a chance to kind of see some demos and think about the vendors that you might want to talk to, because they'll be around that whole week to talk to further, or figure out if you want to go see a session they may be doing. Tuesday morning, we start off, we have all of us together in the big event center. It's a big conference room where there'll be banquet tables this year. So we're not sitting theater style. We're sitting around at tables together so that people can kind of network better. And we have that space that way for the whole show. We have, again, Drew Davis coming back this year. He's talking about the creativity cube and applying constraints to your creativity to get more out of it. Then we break into a variety of sessions. They're 1 hour long with a half-hour break in between. So you have time to kind of hang out. Yeah. So it's not run to the next session.
Good call.
We listened.
Yes. Joe, you and Suze and your entire team, it seems like you guys just really enjoy what you're doing. But I want to ask you, what are you hoping that they take away from the show when it's all over and they walk away? What do you hope they take with them?
Yeah. So I think the thing that I hope for all of them is, if you got a ticket and you're thinking how do I get the most out of this show? Figure out where you're at today and where you need to go in the next 12 months. Not the big aspirational, I want to make $1 bazillion and get a movie deal. Just where you are today, where you need to go. Then look at our content and pick 2 or 3 things that you think are going to help you do that. And then spend all your time at that show trying to find the people that want to do the same thing. Because if you come away from this show with a couple of peers, they're going to keep you accountable and doing and are aligned with you, you are going to have more success and accomplish that, right? It doesn't have to be that you hit the right session and hear all the right things. It's really about finding 2 or 3 people that get what you're trying to do and want to do it with you. I think if we send everyone home with that, the value that'll be created in this industry will be massive.
I've heard so many times from attending conferences that authors have said, God, I was so afraid to go, but I've met my best friends, not just best friend, but my best friends. And we've been buddies ever since. And it's been years later.
Yeah.
I think it's because, it almost sounds cliche now, but when you go to an event like Author Nation, you really are stepping into a pool with your tribe. And it's such a welcoming environment.
Yeah. Even if you're a really successful author, most of the people that are probably in your life don't get what you do, right? So you're home working alone. When you talk to people, your friends may be doing corporate stuff and, they're like, oh yeah, my friend, he's a writer, but they don't understand that you're running this business with marketing and you're doing thousands of dollars of advertising. They don't get that, right? Here you go with this group of people that get what you're doing, that understand the solitude and the conviction to do this. They understand how hard it is. And I think that this kind of gets back to that bigger picture stuff, is that the real magic that becomes that iconic pop culture IP comes out of events like this and people, thinking about how they can work together. And, there's a lot of authors that come and they'll say, yeah, I didn't go to any sessions, but I had this meeting, right? And this is what came out of that. And that meeting change the trajectory of my business, right? Whether it's
Yeah.
meeting with a vendor, getting a deal, that's the other part we kind of touched on, but like we have a massive amount of industry support that comes to the show, and guess why they're there? Just like one of the Drafted Digital's there is to listen.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, hey, how can we make this better for you?
Exactly. Exactly.
So
Um,
I know I kind of went off on a tangent there, but like I think that like those are the things that you get out of an event that, and I get it. Like we all think everyone's looking at us. We all think that people we're we're going to be the one that says something stupid. Everyone there is uncomfortable in a new crowd. That's how it works, right?
yep.
And what you do know, if you do come to the show, I might not have an enormous amount of time because I am running a show, but like you can always come and talk to me. Like I'm very approachable. Like just come talk with me and help
Joe
me.
is. Second that.
So like it's not meeting me. It's maybe I can help you people you need to meet. I can point you at the folks you should be talking to in the genre you're interested in or the company. And the same goes for Suze and Shell and Jamie and our team. We're
Fantastic.
trying to help everyone connect.
Yeah, and you got to underscore that. You guys can always call and find me or one of us from Drafted Digital. Mark Leslie Lefebvre will be there. Dan Wood will be there. Find us. Even if you don't want to talk to Drafted Digital, we'll help point you in the right direction as well. We'll help you track down and stalk Joe.
Yeah. Well, like Dan's, I don't know how long Dan's been around, but like he knows a lot of people and
Dan's so connected.
Yeah. And it's not that he's going to go get you your big book deal, but like he's going to say, "Oh, you know what? You should talk to this person, or you should, go see this speaker because that's and those kinds of things are, what makes a 1 to 2 minute conversation difference in the trajectory of your business.
Yep. Now we're going to run out of time here pretty soon, so I wanted to pop up the link again. For those of you who are in the US and you want to check out Author Nation, go to www.authornation.live. So I'll leave that up there for a second. And while I'm leaving that link up there, Joe, you talked about the magic of the show a little bit. Is that one of your favorite things? Like, what is your favorite thing about being the managing director of Author Nation and Reader Nation?
So this is going to may surprise people. I'm actually a very creative person. Like my undergrad is a bachelor in fine arts. So what I've discovered is my creativity, where I like our people listen to this, they craft stories, where I can manifest things is in a business. It's seeing a lot of the problems and then like, oh, if we put this and that together and like we can solve this. So when I first was exposed to indie publishing, I saw the opportunity. Like I saw we're in this golden age of content creation. I knew that I wasn't going to be an important part of this because of, the story I was going to write. But having something like this where I can facilitate empowering the industry and changing the industry, that's something like I love to do and I'm good at it. So like what you'll start seeing play out, and we have a multi-year plan, right? Like we have contracts signed through 2028.
Do you?
We are systematically shifting the show and the industry in a way that we think is going to put us at the apex of success in this industry, right? We believe that there's two core things to every author. It's their intellectual property and their audience. These two assets, when brought together, are the most powerful thing there is, right? It's a source of revenue that just continues on. It's no different from us, right? So like we're applying that same model. So we're going to build this reader audience, expose them to our author content, and figure out how to scale that up and do that in a really great experience. Because, you know, we talk about all the scary stuff around AI,
Yeah,
and it's going to get weird and scary. We all that. It already is. That means that in real life, authentic experiences are going to be the gold standard.
I could not agree with you more.
Right. So like,
Not agree with you more.
look at what we're doing in real life, gold standard. Right. So
Exactly.
that's what, like, we're having so much fun. Like, it comes out, right. We're really enthusiastic. We got passionate and bright, and we got all these ideas. We're in this period right now where like the team's like, Joe, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. Like, because we also know that success is, you know, it's better to do something well a year from now than half-ass now. And so I think we've demonstrated, last year we showed people how we were going to do our show. This year it's going to be better because we've got a year under our belt and we're adding these new features
Mhm.
that only were possible by us going through one round, right?
Oh, you have to, right?
Yeah.
And you guys did a phenomenal job in year one. I mean, I wasn't able to go last year, but the feedback I saw online and from my team who did go, it was like, wow, how did they pull it off in year one? Now, for those of you who cannot physically attend Author Nation, I just wanted to bring up this link one more time so that you know how to connect with the Author Nation community and your fellow indie authors around the world here.
Yeah. Come lurk.
Yeah, come lurk, meet some friends. And as I leave that up there for Joe, I just want to ask you one final question since we're at time. If you could give one piece of advice to indie authors today, whether or not they come to the show, one piece of advice, what would that be?
Um, and this is going to be prefaced with the idea, if you're writing because you want to make money with your writing, as difficult and scary as it may be, whether it's through us or online resources, really think through how you do business side of this thing. How you know, come joy about the idea of like, how can I get this book published and have it break even on the first shot? That's going to make the whole process a little more challenging, but a lot more fun. That you're not like, my book didn't sell and I spent a lot of money doing it. And I think that the reality is most authors want the recognition of getting paid and making money. And I think that if you don't go at this thing at like, oh, business is bad, you know, this is about the art and more about like, hey, I need to make money so that I can make the next book and the next book and the next book. You'll do that faster, right? It's hard, but it's true. You're not just writing a book, you're starting a business. And it's a startup business in a tough industry with an unproven product. So like, give yourself some grace. Okay. That'd be my advice.
Love it. Perfect. Well, Joe, I so appreciate your time. I really do. I mean, here we are. We're what, 60 days out, something like that. And you've carved out some time for me. So thank you very much for answering all those questions.
Thank you and the Drafted Digital Smashwords team, or all that you guys are doing to support us. Like, the reason we're capable of doing this is because companies like yours, like financially and time wise, support us, right? Like, and in a lot of ways that it's not just what's observable, it's that, you know, how you are getting the community to understand the work we're doing. So I just want to say thank you, because it's not gone unnoticed.
Well, I appreciate that. On behalf of Drafted Digital, I appreciate that. No, we believe in the mission, our shared mission, and we believe in you and your team. So we're all in this together, all of us, all the authors out there watching. So I want to thank our viewers out there, you guys. Thanks for joining us week in and week out. And once again, I've noticed some new names joining this week. So Thank you for those of you who are first timers at Self-Publishing Insiders. We appreciate you. If you can share this episode, if you feel like you've learned something from this episode, if you can share it and like it, that helps us. It helps please the algorithms out there, so we can continue to grow this show and get experts in here like Mr. Joe Solari. If you are interested in seeing what future episodes are going to entail, what the topic is going to be, and who our guests are going to be, you can bookmark dddlive.com. That page will show you what's coming up. And finally, if you are exploring self-publishing for the first time, did you know you can sign up for a free Drafted Digital account today simply by going to draft2digital.com. In closing, I just want to thank Joe again and thank all of you for your time today. I know you have tons of choices for how you can be spending your time, so we really, really appreciate all of you. Joe, go backstage, grab a drink and some snacks. I'll see you back there in a second.
All right.
In the meantime, I'm going to end this stream with a quick note from DDD Print. Thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you here next week.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Ebooks are great, but there's just something about having your words in print. Something you can hold in your hands, put on a shelf, sign for a reader. That's why we created DDD Print, a print-on-demand service that was built for you. We have free, beautiful templates to give your book a pro look, and we can even convert your ebook cover into a full wraparound cover for print. So many options for you and your books. And you can get started right now at draftedigital.com.